So after leaving Bethel, I went back home to my hometown, and that's just another added bonus to your stress. You're going back to a place where you grew up, where everyone knows you as the kid you used to be and views you as the kid you used to be, despite all your organizational accomplishments. And everyone has some theory as to why you're back home. Was he in trouble? Did he get kicked out? All this stuff. So that's a big thing that you just have to kind of live through. That gets tiring and old. And so I became quite jaded. And I didn't realize that I was actually becoming PMO at the time. And I told the car group one day, I come to meetings, I go on service, I get my hours, but I really don't feel like doing this. I'm just physically and mentally out. I had no idea that the term PMO was even a thing at the time. So I decided that I was going to try and go back down to the branch facility because it seemed like the right thing to do. It seemed like I still had unfinished business there. It seemed like the best thing for me to do was to continue my Bethel service as soon as possible. Couldn't relate to anybody back home anymore. Nobody I could understand what I had just gone through. The elders couldn't help me. The reassignment was terrible. Quickly, I got back on the pioneer list. I stayed in foreign language, and then I became an elder. And after I became an elder, I went on a need grading trip to another country. When I did that, it kind of really made me not want to go back home. So I pushed really hard to try and go back down. Maybe I could help with the Warwick project. Maybe I could do commuter work. Maybe I could work remotely. All these things were things that I was thinking about. But the best thing for me to do, I think at the time, was to go back down to the area, try to commute once I found a job and got settled in an apartment and all that. That is very difficult to do because, one, the Bethel area down there is called the Hudson Valley. The Hudson Valley is one of the most expensive places to live in the country. That's Orange County. So for us to move in that area, we'd have to be making a significant amount of money. Like master's, at the very least, bachelor's degree money. Oh, how many of us had that? Not a whole lot of us. So we were struggling. Anybody who commutes does so on their own dime, on their own time. You don't know if you're going to find a job down there. You don't know how much money you absolutely need to save to get down there. All these things are factors that a lot of people don't consider. And many people who go to commute don't even get in. The protocol for the local congregations near the branch facility is that for 6 months, you are being kind of reviewed and tested out to make sure that you are actually not a threat to the organization. We don't know who you are. We have to decide whether or not we can allow you to commute. So it's not really like you had this easier life. Yeah, you didn't have to sign a vow of poverty. Yeah, you to kind of make your own schedule if you did start commuting. But there was absolutely no guarantee. Some commuters go down there with the hope of commuting and they never get in. Ever. They never get in. They're just down there doing whatever else they can. Now, don't get me wrong. Yeah, it's cool to be next to Bethel and party and all that, but that's not enough. Not for how much you have to sacrifice to be there. So, most people leave. And COVID wiped out a lot of commuters. Commuting was really popping because Warwick was finishing up and had finished by the time that I did end up going back down there to commute. And when COVID happened, there was no guarantee that you were going to ever get into Bethel because Bethel shut down completely. And if you're a brother commuter, you're part of that local congregation's local elder body. So your work ramped up because you're in congregations with 30, 20 elders on an elder body. And half or 3/4 of your elder body are full-time Bethelites. They get locked in for 4 years, 4 years straight, and all the work, the footwork of being in a congregation now falls on you. And they're relying on you because not only are you a local elder, you also understand the Bethel way, as they call it. You understand the Bethel routine, you understand the Bethel rules, and so now they can rely on you. When I was there, when I had moved back down, yes, I was still in foreign language. It was a rural territory because if you know anything about that Bethel area, it's all rural areas. So you had to stay in a local congregation's territory, which required a lot of driving. My car broke down multiple times. Again, we don't have great jobs on there. That area, the minimum wage is terrible. Not to mention wages are extremely low in comparison to the rest of New York State, and especially New York City. And so a lot of people living 4, 5, 6 people to an apartment that for one person or 2 people, and they're doing their best to survive, just to maybe get a little bit of time in at Bethel for work. And what does Bethel give you? They don't give you much of anything as a commuter. You get, I think, some meal guest privileges, maybe a meal or 2, and that's just about it. Sometimes you may be able to get some special program guest privileges where you can be invited to come, but you have to be a certain level commuter. You can't just be any commuter. You have to be more than 3-day commuter or something like that. The rules were all over the place. So many man-made rules for the commuter work. On top of that, you also try to conserve costs as much as possible, right? So who do you go to try and find more conservative rent prices? Local witnesses who have property. The local witnesses who have property, to put it short, they take advantage of the commuters coming in. So when you get down there and you have so many people trying to commute to Bethel and do their thing, those local witnesses who have property in that area know that. They know that these people are there to try and do more in their mind for Jehovah, for their God. But you're charging them prices that are really unfair. The negotiation process, definitely barely legal. And many of those landowners are kind of in and out witnesses. They're not the most faithful witnesses, should I say. My landlord, who was a witness, was incredibly money hungry, and they did not ever respect the commuters. They took advantage of us majorly. More on that in the next part.